Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Butterscotch Rewatch. I am Katie, the Gen X mother.
And I'm Ireland, the Gen Z daughter.
And today we're going to be talking about Better Off Dead. It's a movie from 1985. It stars John Cusack as Lane Meyer. It was written and directed by Savage Steve Holland. And
What a name.
Yeah, I know. And it's actually, he says that it's actually pretty autobiographical, so this is pretty much his life and
The savage life.
the savage life. It also stars Diane Franklin as Monique, Amanda Weiss as Beth, Curtis Armstrong is Charles DeMar, and let's see. I do want to give just a quick trigger warning. I don't know if it's necessary, but I do want to do it just in case. This movie does depict attempts at suicide. There's never any follow through or anything like that, but just wanted to give a warning. If you're sensitive to that kind of subject, then maybe this isn't the right one for you. But all right, so shall we get started, Miss Ireland?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
So we first start out with a very interesting intro. We just kind of see a teenage boy waking up, and we see when they're panning his room, we see pictures of the same girl, right? So we can just only assume it's his girlfriend, right? Because then we eventually see pictures of them. But when I say pictures, I'm saying this man is like obsessed. So he's got not only pictures in frames, he's got pictures of her like on every single hanger in his closet. He's kissing a picture of her. Like, there are pictures everywhere of this woman. He is obsessed. The only other second absolutely creepy thing that he does is not only does he have all these pictures of his girlfriend, but also Nan walks into the shower with his tube socks on. Full tube sock action in the shower. Disgusting.
It's very weird.
Ugh.
And then it pans down the hall to the parents. The parents are sleeping. And the dad wakes up in a frenzy, and he grabs his wife's robe, which is very frilly and lacy and lovely. And he runs outside, and he's like, oh no. And then all of a sudden we hear from afar, someone on a bicycle that has the playing cards clothespin to the wheels, the really big noise, so he can hear it coming down the street. It is the paperboy coming down the street, and we see on the garage door that there are 5 windows. 4 of them are broken. There's 1 left. So Mr. Meyer, Lane's dad, is trying to open up this garage door. And this isn't the old school, I should say new school, type it in really quick or just hit a button. This is, you have a key and you have to turn a key. So he's got his keys and he's trying to find it. And he finds it finally, and it goes up, and then we pan to the paperboy, and it's like, oh no, what's gonna happen?
Who's gonna race first?
Yeah.
Who's gonna get there first?
Who's gonna save that window? And the paperboy throws it. It's this huge thing, and
Slow
it's
motion.
back and forth to the window, the paper, and he misses. The paperboy misses the window. The dad has put up the garage just in time, and he's like, yes, yeah. Basically, he wants to swear and be like, yeah, F you, ha, I got you. And we see the neighbor next door. He's just like cutting the bushes, and he's like, oh, good morning, because he's in his wife's robe. And he goes inside of the garage to close the garage, and the garage starts closing. It slams shut, and the window breaks.
Yep.
He's like,
so all that for nothing. And he looks like a doily. So to make matters even better, the whole family is gathered around the table just to eat some breakfast, right? But the one niche thing about this mom is that she cannot cook. So when they're all sitting down at the table, they're basically looking at things, and they have to ask what it is because they can't tell just straight up from looking at the food. So dad's asking, hey, what's for breakfast? And she goes, it's bacon. Keep in mind, this bacon is just like bright green and like just disgusting looking. And she just says that she boiled it. Could you imagine boiled bacon?
Because he doesn't like all the grease, so she boiled it. Oh, it's so gross.
Disgusting.
Yeah. So obviously the dad's not going to be eating that anytime soon.
I'll take the grease.
Yeah, he's like, extra grease, please. He goes into the pantry and he grabs a box of cereal. I think it's Captain Crunch. I think it's like Cocoa Crunch, which no longer exists, but he grabs it, and all of the contents fall out of this hole that's been cut out in the back of the cereal box. So he's like, what in the Sam Hill? And then he grabs another one. Same thing. Everything falls out of it. And he looks at his son, his youngest son, whose name is Badger, and he's like,
great name.
Can you maybe let us finish the contents of the box before cutting a hole in it. And the mom's like, well, he just likes to send those in for the prizes. And everything is literally cut out of every single box. So this is what Badger enjoys doing. Badger doesn't speak. He doesn't speak throughout the entire movie, but Badger is a genius and he can literally like do anything. So
He can literally do rocket science.
he could.
So we cut back to Lane, who's still being disgusting with his tube socks in the shower, and he is now getting ready for what we know as ski tryouts, because we see him not only getting ready for his day, blow drying his socks like a normal person, right? Brushing his hair, all these things, brushing his teeth, but he's also grabbing his skis and walking them around the house, and just very comical, of course, like he's making every turn that he doesn't need to make and is knocking everything over, everything in his way. And his dad basically just tells him, or is complaining about he bought a car for like $200 2 months ago. It's just been wasting space in his garage. When is he going to get fixed, or when is he going to get rid of it? So he's just kind of already getting badgered.
Yeah, and he's like, Dad, I don't have time for this. I've got ski tryouts. This is like my whole life.
This
and
is
he's
my
like,
life.
I have to
Eat,
go
sleep,
pick up
breathe,
Beth.
skiing.
I have to go pick
And
up
my
Beth.
tube socks.
Yes, he's got to go pick up Beth, who is his girlfriend of the 7 billion pictures that he has in that room. But while he's getting ready to go drive to Beth, across the street is the Smith's house. It is Mrs. Smith. She never has a first name, and her son Ricky. And they have acquired a foreign exchange student. She's from France. She's very cute, and she's unpacking and she's watching Lane outside, just kind of like, oh, interested, like, oh, he's cute. Okay, cool. And in comes Mrs. Smith, and she's like, Ricky, you gotta meet the new girl, and then Ricky is this like big, large nerd with the big thick glasses, your typical 80s nerd. I mean, he's got like a plaid shirt with like Argyle pants. It's super doesn't match. And she's like, Monique, this is Ricky. Ricky, this is Monique. And then he just pulls out of his pocket like Afrin nasal spray, and he just sprays it in his nose. And she's like, awesome. And that's the whole like thing. He doesn't like say hi. He just does that. So
Very socially awkward.
yes, very socially awkward. He's nasty.
Yeah, disgusting. And we're gonna say that because he as a person is disgusting. Anyways.
Yes. Yeah.
So now we cut to Lane on his way to pick up Beth in his family station wagon, because again, his car has just been sitting in the garage, right? And we pull up on one of the best scenes ever in the whole movie, the reoccurring scenes, where we find these two brothers that Lane apparently is always racing. So we have the one brother who was raised on like basically like ESPN kind of, and then
the Wide World of Sports. If
Wild World.
If you were alive in the 80s and you would watch this, it was all
that was
the
before
athletes
my
competing.
time.
Yeah.
But it's very like old-timey, getting ready for a boxing match, like, well, look what we have here. On my right, we have, like, so it's kind of like structured like that. And then the other brother, he's putting his driving gloves on, they're nice and leather, he's ready to go, he's revving the engine. And Lane, of course, just in style, is wearing bright yellow kitchen like gloves like you would use to do the dishes. He's putting on his little ski goggles, getting ready to race. He revs the engine, and then the light turns green. The brothers go, Lane goes, except for Lane's in reverse. And this is the first time that we see him hit this poor man's car, and this guy is pissed.
Yes. His name and his character's name is Rocco. I had to look it up because I was like,
Perfect.
This is the man that he keeps hitting. So his name is Rocco, and he's like, get over here, I'm gonna kick your ass. And Lane's like runs to tries to go to the back of the car. It's very, very comical. And the brothers that like to race, for those of you Gen Xers, you will know the name Howard Cosell is who he is sounding like. So that is the voice he emulates, because that is who used to host the Wide World of Sports. So if you know, you know.
There you go.
Yeah. So as Lane is hitting Rocco, we cut to Beth, who's talking on the phone to her friend, and she's like, yeah, I know, it's time. He's just better looking. He can ski the K-12. She is talking about she's going to break up with Lane for Roy, who is the captain of the ski team. And as she says, he's the only guy from Greendale that has skied the K-12 and lived. So in this part of Northern California, where this is supposed to be taking place, it's not who's the football captain or, football and head cheerleader. It is who is the ski captain. He is
all about skiing.
Like the god of the school. So yeah, he's the one everybody wants to be with.
But yeah. And he definitely, it's gotten to his head. So we cut to ski tryouts, and Roy is just skiing down that mountain, just all majestic. And Beth is just like, I love this man. Like, she definitely is like blushing and all of that jazz. And he tells everybody that if they want to make the ski team, they have to ski whatever kind of relay they have set up for under 58 seconds, just to even be considered to make the team. So, of course, because he is just that guy, he's like, all right, anybody want to hold my clipboard? Well, he's recording for tryouts. And of course, all the girls are like, me, 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 me. And then also our favorite that we're going to talk about more later, Charles DeMar, is also raising his hand because he is just an amazing comical relief in this movie. But of course, Beth raises her hand and Roy's just like, oh, you're going to make a fine little helper. So there's already some flirting going on.
And he says,
go ahead.
He says, what's your name? And then we hear Charles DeMar. Charles DeMar. He says his whole full name. Charles DeMar. And he's like, get away, geek. Shut up, geek. And then he's like, what's your name? And she says, Beth. Yeah. And he's like, that's my favorite name. Yeah, that's my favorite name in the whole wide world.
Beth?
Yeah.
No offense to any of the Beths out there, but really Beth.
Yeah.
It's Lane's turn to try out, and he's going up the mountain. Roy's radioing, okay, who's up next? And the guy that's kind of at the top of the hill, that's, they're walkie-talkieing back and forth because it's a far thing. He's just like, Lane Meyer. And he goes, Meyer? As in Oscar? Like the hot dog? Which is so good, but such an easy target joke to make.
Fitting, yeah.
And Roy basically tells Beth, like, you were standing with Oscar? Is he your main wiener? Like, just to be funny? Like, what are we doing? And Beth is, of course, embarrassed because she's just like, she wants to be with Roy, and she knows she's breaking up with Lane. Which she hasn't broken up with him yet, so. And when Lane is skiing, again, he looks pretty good going down the hill, except for his time is 1 minute instead of the 58 seconds. So when Roy hits that stopwatch, he said, sorry, buddy, that's over 58 seconds. You are not qualified for this team.
Yeah. And it really seems like Roy didn't hit that stop button
right away.
He hit it 2 seconds too late.
Absolutely.
I think Lane made it, and that was just him being shady because
agreed.
I feel like he crossed the line and it was 58 or 57 or whatever. Mm-hmm. And then he's like, oh, 1 minute, too bad. Oh, better luck next year.
So bad, so sad. Oh, Beth's got my clipboard, though.
Yeah. Where's Charles DeMar holding my crap?
Charles. I love that guy.
Yeah. So on the way home, Lane is driving Beth home, of course. And she just flat out says, we need to break up. I need somebody that is more popular, better looking, has a better car. I mean, what else can you just attack this poor man with?
Right. All superficial, too, by the way.
Yes.
Friggin' Beth.
And, and of course she's like, he can ski the K-12. So, Lane is just like, what the hell? Lane runs into the Racing Brothers again. And he puts on his yellow gloves and his ski goggles, and he is ready to roll. We hear the Howard Cosell voice on the speaker. I love how they have a little speaker on top of their car. And, the light turns green. Lane hits the gas, and he hits the man in front of him. Who happens to be the man that he hits in front of him?
Rocco.
Good old Rocco. And Rocco is extra pissed because he's been hit twice by this man. Twice in one day. Right. And he's literally like, I'm going to kill you. And he goes to chase Lane. So Lane eventually makes it home.
It's coming up Lane. He's just having the best day.
I know.
And to make matters even better, Lane gets home and he's getting this nice, beautiful welcome from his parents. Just kidding. He comes home and mom is vacuuming. Extremely loud, vacuum. And mom's going to town and she just goes, oh, how was your day, honey? And Lane says, Beth broke up with me. And of course, mom listening, she's not understanding. She goes, well, that's nice. Perfect. So Lane really has the people that go around and care for him. But of course, Lane is kind of in a depression, right? He's very upset. There's just so many things happening to this poor kid. He's running into cars. He's not making the ski team that he absolutely loves skiing. And then his girlfriend broke up with him that he's obsessed with. There's just so much going into it. So unfortunately, this is the part where he is going to attempt something, right? So he's wrapping the extension cord around his neck in the garage and is just kind of snaps out of it a little bit. He kind of snaps out his funk and he's like, wait a second here. I haven't even done anything with my life, right? I'm young. I'm in high school still. Like, he's starting to like unravel it here. And then, of course, mom is listening and mom is vacuuming. So she busts open the garage door because for some reason the garage stairs need vacuuming. And she's just holding the door. Yeah, with her butt. And she's just holding the door open. And then Lane kind of gets knocked off the stairs. So now he's struggling and has the extension cord wrapped around his neck. But of course, mom doesn't know. And then after that, he kind of gets knocked down after mom closes the door again.
Yeah, he survives.
He's safe.
He's safe. Back at home, this
boy.
This is one of the quirks. The mom has there are certain characters that have really good quirks. And the mom's quirk is her cooking, like Ireland mentioned. Yes. So at home, mom has made a recipe from the Ladies' Home Journal, which is a women's magazine. And she says that some of the pages ran together. So she improvised some of the ingredients. She tells Lane that it has raisins in it and says, you like raisins. And when she scoops it, what does this masterpiece look like when she scoops it into?
It just looks like disgusting slime. And then it eventually starts like moving off of the table and the spoon. It's absolutely disgusting. But that totally reminded me, and I know this is before Friends, but that just reminded me of when Rachel had the pages stick together when she was making the trifle, I'm sorry. And then she had like the recipe for the shepherd's pie and the trifle stuck together. So it was like raspberry jam, whipped cream or something like that, ground beef, peas, and then more tort cake and all this stuff. I'm like, oh god, it's disgusting.
Yeah. But it is funny because it's the purple slime and you could just see the raisins in it. That's all you see is just this purple slime with raisins. You like raisins.
She's just so funny because she definitely like sounds like an airhead too. She's like, you like raisins. And Lane's just like, okay.
She's a good mom though. She's
awesome.
She tries really hard. She just doesn't succeed. She just means well, but
we all have our thing.
Jenny,
sometimes you just can't cook. It's okay, Jenny girl.
It's okay. Yeah. So of course this gives Lane's dad a chance to talk to Lane about his car. And he says, I gave you $200 2 months ago because there was this car you had to buy because your girlfriend Beth said it was tasty. And it's been sitting in my driveway ever since.
Is tasty a term that was ever used in the 80s? Tasty.
I don't remember tasty. I mean, I grew up more in the early 90s.
Right.
That was, yeah. But I don't remember tasty. Of course, I was not a cool person in the 80s. So definitely wouldn't know any cool words if they bit me on my ass. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe it was a cool thing in 1985.
I don't know. Tasty is crazy though. That's tasty. Just a crazy term.
But I love how the dad goes, tasty.
Right. With the quotations and everything.
And yeah, and then mom suggests as well that Lane go introduce himself to the exchange student next door, say hi, or across the street, and say hi. The dad comments, of course, that Mrs. Smith probably got her so that kid of hers can see what a real girl looks like. And I believe this to be true.
Which is bad, but it's actually so funny because it's accurate. Yeah.
It's 100% accurate. Yes. And this is the part where we see Lane at the table and he's like poking his slime with the raisins in it and it like crawls away.
It literally develops like the cilia that lets it move off the table.
Crawls off the thing.
It's disgusting.
And he asks his mom, "Can I please be excused? I'm not hungry anymore."
Girl, I would not be hungry either if my food's literally running away from me. Oh my gosh. Well, on an unrelated note, as Lane's walking up the stairs, he kind of peeks into Badger's room. Remember his little brother with all the box tabs that he was cutting off of everything. And he is just casually making a ray gun. Just anything. That's fine. Lane basically is just like, come on, man. Like, aren't you getting a little too old for this? Why are you wasting time on little toys like that? Come on, man. You're almost 8 years old. Like, that's an old age. And Badger basically, again, doesn't say a single word this entire film. However, he just grabs his little glasses and then, in a good, nice, cool fashion, he just shoots the ray gun towards the wall, and it actually shoots out a laser and blows a hole into the wall. And Lane just, like, is like, okay, anyways. It just walks away like it's just a normal thing that happens in this house.
And Lane goes into his room, lays on his bed, and he has a picture of Beth underneath his one pillow. And he just looks at it, and then he's thinking about how him and Beth first met. And it kind of has like a quick flashback of how they met. It cuts to Charles and him playing, like they were just catching a football. And Lane notices the two girls sitting at the picnic table. One of them is Beth. And he catches the ball and he like smiles at them and they're like laughing. And he looks down and he's actually his feet are in someone's plate of food because it was like a family having a picnic. And he's like, uh-oh. And he like moves his feet and the plates are sticking to his feet. So he goes over to Beth and the friend, and him and Charles sit at the table and start talking to Beth and the friend. I'm assuming Charles talks to the friend, but we don't really get that conversation.
Right. Charles is just there. He's a wingman.
Yeah.
Charles DeMar.
And Lane says, how do you like Greendale? And Beth says, fine. And Lane says, do you find the public school system adequate?
Big words there, bud.
And she says, school hasn't even started. And then she itches her nose. And like anybody that talks to someone that itches their nose, they think that that is a sign that they have something in their nose. So this is a nice little exchange of inner monologues they're, inside their heads. So Lane says, she itched her nose. I wonder if it was some unconscious signal that there's something in my nose. So he itches his nose. And then Beth says, he wiped his nose. Maybe I have dirt on my nose and he's too embarrassed to tell me. I must look sickening. And then she itches her nose back. Lane's monologue says, there she goes again. What could it be? Dirt or relish? Oh God, please don't be a booger. And then they both wipe their noses frantically, like
literally, like
Beth takes her like t-shirt she has on because she had a bikini on, and she's like wiping. And then Lane grabs a rag and he's like putting it in his ears and wiping his nose, and they're both like wiping their. It's just this whole thing, yeah. And then that's the flashback. Lane wakes up, and he has a post-it note on his forehead that says, please feed the cat, love mom, or she went somewhere and please feed the cat.
So Lane's just like, gotta feed the cat. So he goes downstairs and he's getting the cat food, and of course the cat food box had a box top on it, so he's lifting the food and the food's just pouring out of the side of the box. And then, some of it sprinkles in the cat bowl, so then it's good enough. And he's basically just continuing to pour that cat food into his own cereal bowl and then pour milk into it as he's going to eat it, because, again, he's kind of like a walking zombie right now because he's just gone through so much the night before, and now he's dreaming and waiting for Beth to come back to him and all that stuff. But then he suddenly hears the doorbell. And who is at his door?
Before he eats that nasty cat food in the milk.
Cat stew.
Doorbell, yeah, like you said, the doorbell rings. Lane opens the door and finds it to be one of my favorite characters, if not my favorite character in this whole movie, Paperboy Johnny. So Johnny says, I want my $2 plus tip. 4 weeks, 20 papers, that's $2 plus tip. And Lane says, gee, Johnny, I don't have a dime. Johnny puts his foot in the door as Lane tries to close it. Johnny says, I didn't ask for a dime, $2. And Lane says, well, it's funny. My mom had to leave and take my brother to school and my dad to work because... And then Johnny says, $2. And he pulls out, looks like a knife, but it's one of those combs. So he clicks the button and he's going like this. And he says, cash. And then Lane starts babbling like, my little brother got his arm stuck in the microwave, and then my grandma dropped acid and hijacked a bus full of penguins. And then he's like, so you'll have to come back later, bye. And he closes the door.
Oh gosh. All right. Well, we're about to cut to the most engaging classroom that you've ever seen in your life. So in this high school, which I've never seen high schools ever be this, hanging on to their teachers' every single word and all being attentive and all of these things. So Charles, of course, is sitting next to Lane, and Charles is shaking some random animal is soaking in formaldehyde in a jar. Where did he get this from? I think they're in geometry. I don't know where this man got this from. But he's just doing whatever Charles DeMar is doing. And Lane, again, is out of it. He has no idea what the heck is going on in class right now. So as they're going through, the teacher's asking everybody for answers. Like, okay, well, what's the answer to this problem? And everybody's raising their hand. Everybody is like, I want to share my project. I want to share my project. All of these things. And when they're taking out their projects, you would think this project was like a month long, 2 months long, because people are pulling out filing folders and giant binders and crazy stacks of papers. And what does Lane do with his papers?
He opens his paper out of his pocket and he has a hard time opening it because there's gum stuck in it. And it says, do homework. And he goes, oops. So this teacher goes, who would like to share their answers on the board? And everyone's, of course, like, ooh, except for Charles and Lane, who's like
Charles is on another planet.
Yeah, I don't even think Charles is supposed to be in that class.
Charles is probably just a triple senior. I don't like a triple super senior.
Yeah, and everyone raises their hand and they're like Susan, and she's like yes, and everybody's like and he's like Beth, and she's like yes, and then she goes up and everyone's like and then they're like Robert, and he's all excited and they're like oh, and he's like okay. And then Lane gets like in his seat and he's like, and then you hear, Mr. Meyer, why don't you go ahead and join us up on the board and show us your answer? And he's like, crap. So he gets up to the board and he kind of hallucinates a little bit, I would say. And he grabs the old school, when the teachers used to have the compass that would go on the board where it had, the one side had the eraser on it, and then it was like this, and then the chalk was on the other side, and you would put that, and you would make a circle with it. That's what he grabs, but he uses it together, and when he goes down, it scratches the board, and then you see everyone go, and all their hair's like sticking up, because this is the type of movie that would do that, and he's like, sorry. So he finally like pulls the thing over, and he's like using this long thing of with the chalk on it, and he starts looking up, and it's just this insanely large board. It looks like it's 40 feet tall to him, and he's like, and then he has a flashback.
Yeah, so this flashback is kind of a little awkward to talk about, but it's his and Beth's like first time basically that he's kind of going back to, and so romantic in the back of a station wagon, in that same station wagon that Lane still drives. And Beth is just like, oh my god, somebody's like around, I don't think we're alone, and Lane's just like, oh no, don't worry honey, we are alone, and just trying to reassure her. And as he's saying, oh no baby, we're alone, they're literally hijacking his car. Like, they're literally stealing his tires off of the car. But, whatever. And he's just, they're in the moment, and he just goes, remember that thing that you gave me to put, or that you put it on me? Yeah, it broke. And Beth is like, it broke? I'm sorry, it broke. And Lane's just like, relax, I'll get you a new one, I'll buy you a new one. She says, I do not want a new one. Do you have any idea what this means? And as that is playing in his head, he kind of cuts back into reality, into the classroom. And all you see is the only thing that he drew on the board was literally a stick figure that was pregnant and with an arrow that says baby on it. Yeah. So, and he's also screaming like, I'm sorry, as he's like getting out of this daydream. And you could just see the class is just like, what the hell is wrong with this guy? Yeah. So the bell rings, and the entire class is like, he's like, don't worry, class, I'll see you tomorrow. And they're like, yay. And he says, just memorize pages 39 through 110 for tomorrow. And they cheer for this homework. They're very excited about reading, almost 100 pages. And then as the students are leaving, Dean sees Roy leave with Beth, and like they just do like a quick kiss. And so of course he's just like, and I would like to mention something about this teacher. So this teacher is very tall and not super attractive. Okay, not attractive. I mean, he was in Ghost. He played the subway ghost. So if you know who that is, that's who he is. He's like a bad guy. I don't know what else he's been in. But
I don't know what the love affair with this teacher is. I mean, I hated geometry. I thought it was the worst ever. I hated it so much. Like,
Yeah,
ugh.
you ever had to solve a proof? That'll make you cry.
It's one of those things that like you put in your brain while you're in the class, but then as soon as you are done with the class and you know you never have to take geometry ever again, you forget everything. Like I couldn't tell you anything about geometry. Forget it.
No, I could tell you the Pythagorean theorem, and that's about it.
Great. I don't even know. I can't even tell you what that is.
A squared plus b squared equals c squared.
C squared. Okay. Great. Wonderful.
I don't even know. I think that's geometry. Yeah, I did not teach math though, so don't come for me if that's wrong.
Right.
Gosh.
Yes. So after Lane sees that, he's very defeated. But don't worry, Charles comes to the rescue.
If Charles DeMar knows anything, it's about the trends in this school, right? So Charles is like, hey man, don't worry, I've been going to school for 7.5 years. Like, when I say a triple super senior, I mean it.
Yes.
And he's basically just claiming, like, he's no dummy. He knows women himself. Like, he is a matchmaker and the women just love him. So basically, he just tells Lane, gives him some advice, like, hey, buddy, you should take up your saxophone again. The ladies love an instrument. Also, in order to get Beth back, I think it is a good idea that you need to ski the K-12. And out of everybody that is a professional skier, I'm going to be the one to help you.
Yeah. And then the teacher, of course, is like, Lane, can I see you really quick? Because Lane's like, oh, man, I'm going to get in trouble for that whole, not doing my homework thing. This is another running joke that we're going to see in this movie. So the teacher tells Lane that he'd like to have a word with him. And he wants to know if he can ask Beth out since she's single and he's not seeing her anymore.
Creepy.
So many things wrong with this.
Right.
Yeah, super creepy creepertons. It's not like...
Yeah,
I don't even think in the 80s this is acceptable. There's a lot of stuff.
Right, I was just going to say, like,
slide under
it's just
the rug in the 80s. But yeah, I guess it's just for the
movie's
funny,
just niche, yeah.
Yes, it's very niche. Yeah, it's not a for everybody movie. Yeah, so that's a running joke that everybody wants to ask Beth out, knowing that. And they have to ask Lane's permission, apparently.
Yeah, well.
Yeah.
He's the guy, I guess.
Yep. And now we're at lunch.
Yeah, so we see Monique, again, our foreign exchange student, and then Ricky, the one with the nasal spray. And they're, eating lunch together. And I don't think Ricky's ever eaten lunch with anybody. Ever. So he's not used to it, but he does end up pulling her chair closer. He's just, like, so creepy with her. And he's just, like, eating his Jell-O through a straw. He's literally slurping it up like a freaking animal. And Monique is clearly disgusted, as if any normal person would be. And on the other side of Monique, she's just surrounded by, the weirdos. Charles DeMar is snorting his Jell-O with a straw. And what we know about Charles DeMar is he will snort anything, and that will be also another running joke in the movie. But at least he's nice, and he's just like, Monique, you want some? And of course she's like, hell no.
And then when he snorts it, he puts some on his finger and he does this thing.
Yeah, just like kind of like the reenacting of Coke and stuff. Yes. Yeah,
yes.
It's just Charles.
He literally will snort anything except for actual drugs.
Yeah, more power to him.
Yeah, good for you, buddy. Get that Jell-O in that system. Snort that up.
Orange Jell-O.
And then we see Lane. So Lane is sitting by himself because, of course, he's woe is me. And he looks over and Roy is serenading Beth with a guitar at lunchtime. Okay, cool. Yeah, that's where you bring your guitar at lunch.
Right.
Lunch is like 30 minutes tops. So Lane is drawing a cartoon. He drew a cartoon of Beth and then he drew a cartoon of Roy. And he has like a monster like animated in his head. In his head he's looking at his animation. It eats Roy. So he's like really excited that this monster has eaten Roy. And cartoon Beth goes, why did you go and do that? And Lane says, why did you break up with me? And she basically tells Lane the same thing. Roy's better. And that Lane is she says, a spastic Nerf bag. He's basically a spastic, Nerf bag. And then Lane tells her that any girl would be happy to go out with me in this school. And at this time, we see the basketball team with one cheerleader sitting at a table. Yes. And Lane looks over to that girl. And cartoon Beth says, Chris Cremens. And Lane says, she would go out with me in a sec. Will she, Ireland?
Girl is not interested because, okay, Chris, first of all, gorgeous. 10 out of 10. head cheerleader. She's stunning, and she's got her little rollerblades on, or roller skates. She's adorable, okay? And she's just skating around, and all this girl is just trying to do is to get a little carton of milk, okay? She's just trying to pay for her milk. And of course, Lane has to be annoying and has this ego thing where he's like, you know, I'm gonna get her to go out with me. And he like steals some rollerblades from just a random kid and puts them on and is trying to like have something in common with her basically as whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And what he didn't know, or maybe he did know, is that Chris is dating the entire basketball team. Okay, not one basketball player, not the center from the basketball team, the entire basketball team. So there is absolutely no way that she's going to say yes, one, but also two, that Lane just isn't going to get actually beat up from this experience.
Right. Yeah.
But Lane is still pushing forward and trying to do what he's going to do. And in just pure Lane fashion, this kid has the best luck. He loses his balance on his skates because, of course, the guy can't really skate. And he loses balance, and when he loses balance, he reaches forward, and he pulls down her cheer uniform. And it's just Chris in her bra and underwear, and she's just like, poor girl's just screaming in the middle of the cafeteria. And now we see all of the basketball players just kind of like groaning over her and gonna beat Lane up.
Yeah, and they circle Lane, and then we're like, okay, we know. So, a couple things I want to point out about this. Okay. When she's sitting at the table with the whole basketball team, the basketball team is all eating baby food. They're eating baby food, like the little baby food jars, like the Gerber baby food. And when he's in line, you know, with the roller skates, or actually when he goes to get the roller skates, he says, let me borrow this, you know, let me borrow these for just a minute. And the kid's like, hey, you know, what's the big deal? You know, and he's like, just for a second here. And he like throws money at him. He's like, go buy yourself another leotard. And the kid grabs the money and
he's just like,
in there.
And just takes it.
Yep. And he's like, okay. And so then Lane attempts to go into the line. And while he's trying to like convince Chris, oh, you skate, I skate, we should skate together, we're on a date, blah, blah, blah. I noticed, and I couldn't stop looking at the man the student behind him. This man is wearing Terminator glasses. As Lane moves out of the line, this guy is carrying a fork like this, and then in his other hand is like a Coke or something. And he makes no like, you know, he has no like facial expressions or anything. And he just walks like with the fork, like he's gonna stab someone. I was like, okay, that's an interesting background character. He really went for it. He's like,
right.
I'm getting paid $5 for this. I'm really going to make myself stand out.
So he takes method acting to a whole new level.
Correct, sir. You have succeeded. I had noticed you. I couldn't stop looking at you. I had to rewind the scene so I could get the actual wording of what was said. But yes, congratulations. You have taken
We love you, student number 56 or whatever he is.
Correct. Yeah.
So cut from that scene, of course, just to make Lane's day better. We remember the teacher was asking Lane's permission if he could date Beth or take her out. And Lane's walking out of the school and sees Beth driving away with the teacher, which thought she was dating Roy, so she's being a little messy.
The teacher waves. Like, no. Because of that, Lane decides he wants to be on a bridge. So he's like in front of the bridge, and it's a bridge like it's just an overpass bridge. Not saying that if he jumps from it, he wouldn't be killed, but he's on the thing and he's like holding on to it. And then we see Charles roll up on his bicycle and he's like, Lane, what are you doing? And Lane says, nothing. And he goes, we'll beat that slope together. I'm right behind you, buddy. And he taps him on the shoulders and Lane falls off of the bridge. But luckily for him, a garbage truck was coming full of like bags and he falls into that. And he's just sitting in the thing, and there are these two guys that are trimming the tree. So they're in one of those things, I don't know what they're called, but the little boxes, and they go up really high. The one guy says one of the best lines in the entire movie. That's a real shame when folks be throwing away a perfectly good white boy like that. And the other guy's like, mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're just like, it's totally normal. They're just like, yeah, you're so right. That's so real. Like, what?
Not like, oh no, that kid needs help or anything. Not throwing a perfectly good white boy away like that.
It's a shame. Yeah, it's a shame to just keep throwing out those perfectly good white boys.
Yes, it's the worst.
Right, I hate when that happens.
Yeah.
So now we cut to after he's out of the garbage truck. Lane's at the top of the K-12 with Charles now because remember, Charles is trying to keep his promise that he's going to help Lane ski the K-12. And of course, in Charles DeMar fashion, he's looking around and he's just like scooping up the snow and he's just like, oh my god, do you have any idea what the street value of this mountain is? And of course it goes right up his nose. He's trying to snort the snow as much as he can. And now that he's just like hyped up on that snow, he's trying to coach Lane down the K-12 because Lane is he's visibly nervous. Like, he is clearly nervous, as anybody should be. The K-12 is always the hardest one to ski.
Mm-hmm.
And Charles is just like, all right, man, so now the game plan is you want to go really fast, and then if you see something in your way, then just turn. Like, great.
Great advice.
Great advice. Amazing.
Great advice.
And as Lane is starting to go down the hill, he just immediately starts to fall and starts to snowball.
Yeah. Oh. And then we cut to Christmas Day, and Lane's dad is very proud because he's putting a bow on the newly fixed garage door windows. Sees all the windows are. He's putting on the nice bow. It's really great. And it goes inside, pans inside, and Badger's playing with like some kind of space toy or something. He seems really excited. Lane's not there, but the mom is opening up the gifts for Lane, and she has got him a series of TV dinners because he likes the dessert in each one of those. I got this one, and she's trying to explain to the dad, I got him this one because he likes the caramel nut brownie. And it's literally just a stack of like 15
banquet
of these
meals.
Yeah. Yeah, the old school with the like
the foil
aluminum
tray and everything.
the aluminum on top and everything. Yeah. And okay, so great. And then we cut to Ricky's house really quick. And yeah, I hate Ricky.
I do too.
And he's playing with like a clown doll, really creepy clown doll.
Yeah.
And Mrs. Smith is like, Ricky, go give Monique your present. And so he gives her the present, and Monique opens it, and it's a picture of just Ricky. He's like,
it's a framed picture of him.
Framed picture. And Mrs. Smith says, you could take it with you anywhere you go. So yeah, that is what
right
she
in the
gets
garbage disposal.
Yeah, no kidding. And she says, do you have Christmas in France? You know, Christmas. Yeah. Christmas. And she like that's gonna make her speak English. Like, oh, right. Okay, thanks. Oh, blah, 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 blah. That's how you say Christmas in English. Great, thanks. Yeah. So back to the Meyer house. Lane's dad has gotten a gift from his wife, Jenny.
Yeah. And this gift is not just any gifts. Like, you know, you get your husband a wallet, you get him a robe, you get him, you know, slippers, whatever. This man got a full, like, fur, like, it's almost like footy pajama, like a big, like, robe, basically. Except for it's made of real aardvark fur. And the hood that, like, comes up is legit, like, the head of an aardvark.
Yeah, it's a coat. Yeah.
Yeah, oh, it's a coat. Yeah.
It's a coat, yeah.
But wife is literally like, everybody's going to be wearing these. Like, this is the hot thing right now.
Yes.
Yes. And then at this time, Blaine's dad is then bringing Jenny outside to show her what he did for Christmas, which was replace all of those beautiful garage windows. And as this is going on, we know that Lane was not at Christmas unwrapping the gifts. He was actually in the garage. And because, again, he can't ski the K-12, all of this stuff with Beth is going on. Literally every man apparently is taking out Beth. He is, again, still very depressed, and he's in the car, and he's trying to fill up the garage with carbon monoxide, unfortunately. And as the dad is bringing out Mom to go see the beautiful windows that he just replaced, Lane eventually, like, he kind of, I don't even know, like, he kind of just, like, flinches a little bit, right, and puts the car in reverse, and then it backs up into the garage door that was closed, and now all the windows are shattered again. So this guy just cannot catch a break. But again, Lane is perfectly okay.
Yes, he's okay. And the best part of him going through the garage door is the parents, of course, are both like, what the? And we see the neighbor again cutting. He's either
trimming the hedges or something like that,
or he's just seeing what's going on, and he's wearing the aardvark,
the same coat
with the hood up. So Jenny was right. It is going to be the hottest fashion.
You know what? Yeah. I want one.
She knows what's up. Yeah, she can't cook worth crap, but man, does she know fashion?
Absolutely. Go Jenny, go. Yeah. So we see Monique outside, and she is just, absolutely loving her framed picture of Ricky.
Yeah.
Just kidding. She's literally laughing her ass off outside at this picture. Like, I just could not fathom getting that as a Christmas gift. And, like, them giving that as a Christmas gift to her and being like, yeah, that's it right there. This is what this woman wants. And, of course, she's in the front yard, so she's just laughing away. And she eventually sees Lane, again, drive through that garage to break those windows.
Yeah. And she's noticing, like, okay, why does this man really, like, hate his life?
Like, is he okay?
Yeah, is he okay? I don't think he's okay. So cut to a few days later. We see the mailman. Now, this mailman he's got the pile of mail in his hands and he's going through it. He's throwing half of it on the ground. He's like looking at some of it. You know, he doesn't care. He's not a very good mailman. And he notices a package for Badger, which he opened and looked what it was. So he rings the doorbell. Badger, of course, opens the door, doesn't say a word, and the mailman tells Badger his book on how to pick up trashy women has come today. And then he asks Badger what he expects to do with it. Badger just kind of smirks and he closes the door.
Remember, this man is literally 8 years old.
Almost 8, yeah.
Oh yeah, he's almost 8. He's
yes,
reading about books how to pick up trashy women.
Trashy women. Yep, not just women, trashy women. Great.
Yes, and as Badger closes the door, the mailman rings the doorbell again because apparently he's not done. And now this time Lane answers the door and he's like, what the hell do you want, right? And again, another running joke through the movie, the mailman is asking Lane, hey, is Beth single and do you think that she'd be interested in me taking her out? And all these things. And Lane is just not having it. He has had a fucking week. So he just slams the door.
Yeah. And then back in the house, Lane's dad is reading a book on how to talk to the younger generation. It's called like Youth Something and Something. So all I saw was youth. I tried to figure out what it was, but it's basically how to talk youth slang, like how to connect with your child by using cool slang words, I guess. And he tells Lane that he has to start dating again. Got to get over this girl. You just need to date again. He's like, I don't want to date anyone. I want to date Beth. So he goes, well, that's too bad because you're going on a date. I set you up on a date with my law partner's daughter. So Lane's like, fine, I'll go on the date, whatever. And so he's getting ready for this date. And he thinks he is the stud of all studs. He's like, okay, girl, here I come. You're going to like pass out when you see how great I am, kind of thing. Get ready for the best night of your life, blah, 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 blah. And he gets to her house and she comes outside and she tells him, look, I don't want to go on this date. I'm only doing this as a favor to my father. So let's just end this right now. And then she gets her calculator out and she starts calculating. You take me to dinner, it's going to cost $20 unless you're a cheapskate, but I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt. Plus dessert would be this much. Of course, we would need two of those. And she puts in the calculator. And then she says, oh, plus tip, it's going to be, whatever, $26 and something, whatever. And she's like, cut that in half and that makes your total $13.67. And she goes, why don't you just pay me that and we'll be on our way. And he's like, do you take a check? So he writes her a check for the $13.67 so they don't have to go on a date. That's
blame him.
I wish I could have done that sometimes. Just
Yeah.
Give me money and we'll pretend like we went on this date. Nice prostitution there without the actual prostituting.
Right. Gosh. All right. Well, now we're at the school dance and it's just kind of like a fall dance, it seems. Like, it's not super extremely formal, but people are dressed up. And we see the beautiful E.G. Daily, and she is singing the Better Off Dead song that's titled One Way Love, and it is just a phenomenal song. It's so good, and of course it's self-titled, so that just also ties it in all together. And she is like a jack of all trades. First of all, she's trending on TikTok all the time because she has voiced like pretty much everything under the sun that's been on Nickelodeon or any kind of anime or something like that. But one of her main roles, she was Dottie in Pee-wee's Big Adventure. She also was Tommy Pickles from the Rugrats, which is the main character, and then as well as Buttercup from Powerpuff Girls. So those last two were like my childhood. I never actually saw Pee-wee's Big Adventure, which my mom told me was actually a crime. So,
yes, because it's a Tim Burton film, and you love Tim Burton.
I do love Tim Burton, but Pee-wee's Big Adventure just doesn't. It doesn't scream Tim Burton to me. So,
it is actually a pretty good movie. I enjoyed the movie. I thought it was really good. It was very different. It was very creative. Pee Wee Herman was huge at the time.
Put it on the list, I guess.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
kidding.
And Tim Burton, it's got that quirkiness of the Tim Burton. So yeah, I enjoyed that. So for those people who have seen that movie, Dottie's his love interest, or
Aw.
she's his love
She
interest.
is adorable.
She
Like,
is.
she still looks amazing.
Yeah. And she can sing. She can really sing.
Oh, yeah.
At the dance, Lane is sitting with Charles DeMar.
King.
And Roy comes by with Beth and his two little crony guys that he always has with him. And he's like, "You have my vote for the cutest couple. Better shave her closer before you kiss her goodnight." And Charles does. I don't know if this is calculated, because this is genius. How do you get a bully to stop bullying you? You just annoy the living shit out of them. So he laughs hysterically at this burn or whatever. And he's like looking at Roy, and he's like, he can't even talk. He's laughing so hard. He's pointing at Roy. It's like, and he's like, Roy's like, gets uncomfortable, and he's like, whatever. And he like leaves.
You also forget, like, Charles DeMar was like 25 at this point in high school. So.
Yeah.
Mans is just, I think he's also just a little, there's a screw loose or something. He's funny.
Yeah. So now another big entrance happens.
But yeah, who's busted in now? Ricky.
Mm-hmm.
Ricky's busted in the dance, and of course, he's dragging Monique with him. Like, literally dragging her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He does not know how to handle women. Anyways. And Lane, of course, is just he's a D1 yearner. He literally is just staring from across, like, the dance floor, looking at Beth and Roy dancing, and he's just, of course, like, oh, I want that to be me. Charles is in between them, still laughing at Roy's joke. Like, he's still standing right next to them, going like, ha 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 ha.
Like, kiss her goodnight, kiss her goodnight.
Yeah.
And
like, this kid is on something. Like, we gotta figure this out.
Right. Is it Jello? What is he on?
No, literally. And we cut back to Ricky and Monique, and they are just, dancing the night away. And by dancing, I mean he's literally throwing her around like a rag doll and just kind of flopping around. And she definitely looks uncomfortable. And then all of a sudden, Ricky's just like building this self-confidence moment. He's like, oh, I'm gonna actually dance by myself. And they have like a little dance circle that circles him and surrounds him. And he like starts to like hardcore dance, and then he decides to like dive into the floor. But then when he dives into the floor, he doesn't come back up. He literally just like stays there, and then the crowd's like, "Ah!" And then they just start dancing all over again, and they just like start stepping on him and stuff. And then this is Monique's escape route.
Yes, she's like, she sees Lane leaving, and she runs up behind him. And when he's going up the stairs, she actually like kind of trips him a little bit, and she's like, "Oh, pardon-moi," and they start talking, and she's like, I don't speak English, and he goes, Lane, and then she says, Monique Juno, I don't know. Again, I can't pronounce any names,
Monique.
so hey, whether it's in French or not, I still can't pronounce it. Yeah, and so Ricky comes out, and he's running for Monique, and Monique is shaking Lane's hand, and she just keeps shaking his hand. Like, she's like, oh, like he's saying something funny, and she's shaking his hand. And Ricky starts to lecture Monique about how she should not upset Mother. And Lane tells Ricky, go to your mom so Monique and I can finish our conversation, and you can come and get her over here. Roy comes in between them, being the asshole that he is.
Yeah.
And has to say something else. And he's like, hey, Meyer, there's an opening on the water ballet team, and I can make a call for you if you want. And Lane's just like, okay, whatever.
Whatever, dude.
Thanks a lot. And at this time, here comes the car. Here comes Mrs. Smith and Ricky in the car. And she's like, Monique, why aren't you with Ricky? And then Ricky says, I told her, Mom.
Give me a break.
Monique, this grosses me out so much.
So creepy.
So Monique gets into the car, and Ricky pulls her close, and she's like this, and he's got his like arms around her, and she's just like, and she's like, bye, Lane. I can feel that uncomfortableness that she's feeling,
Yeah.
Because I'm not a big hugger, and when people hug me, I
do
this.
But also just, he's disgusting.
Yeah,
so.
If you get a hug from me, it's a big deal. Like, because I don't usually get. I
mean, made it.
Of course, I hug my children and my husband, but for the most part, I'm not a huge. I'm not like a hugger, Well, when you were little, I did, and now you guys are adults, and I don't want to invade your space.
Now we're.
And I think you guys do the same thing as me.
Yeah, I'm not a hugger either, honestly. I don't like when people are touching me, so.
Yeah.
But now after that, now Lane is walking to his car after Monique just got dragged into the car by Ricky. And he just kind of hears in the distance, like, $2. And it's not just Johnny the paper boy. It's also all of the other paper boys that make all their different routes. And now Lane is really trying to like struggle to leave and get in his car, but they are literally surrounding him and they're still like in the distance like $2.
It's like really foggy.
$2.
It's really
like
foggy. So
yes,
scary.
it's like Nightmare on Elm Street, like perfect like thing, and it's literally just these paper boys that are like they want their $2 plus tip cash. And now Lane can't, he can't make it. He's starting to like run, and then they're chasing him to his car, and then he eventually gets into his car and starts to drive home, and then he makes it home safely. But this will not be the end of these paper boys.
Paperboy Johnny, yeah. Yeah, so Lane gets home. Dad goes, how was your date? And Lane says, they're out there, Dad. They're after me. And the dad is reading that book, that youth book. And the chapter he's reading is paranoia. So he literally highlights paranoia because he thinks that he's paranoid in fact, he wasn't. They were chasing him. He had like 30 paper boys chasing him in the fog at night. So
literally so scary.
Selene goes and stops into Badger's room because there's like some noise coming from there. It sounds like a little party. And it's Badger with his trashy women. They're just
that he picked up using the book.
Yeah, great old time. They're just having a great time. I think he's in like a Hugh Hefner robe kind of thing.
For sure. Like red velvet.
I do love what they do with the camera here. So they point the camera at Lane, but it's in between the lady's like legs. You see her legs kind of like the Graduate poster, like how Mrs. Robinson leg was up, and then you see what's his name's character just like in the doorway. So they kind of like copy that a little bit. So he just looks at that and he closes the door.
And he just slowly backs away. He's just like, not today. Not dealing with that today. So we cut to the next day and Badger's in the kitchen, and this is kind of where we first see him start to fill out a form that's trying to understand how to build a rocket. And that's how to build a rocket out of household items. Again, the kid's a genius, strange kid, but whatever he puts his mind to, he's gonna do. And while this is happening, Lane's mom is literally fighting for her life against whatever the hell she is cooking up in that pot behind her. And when I tell you, like, there's a freaking monster in the pot, there's like tentacles and stuff that are like flinging around in this pot. Like, she's literally like trying to like stab it in and put it in the pot. And
doesn't know what to do with the claw, so she like pulls it out and she's like, okay, that's good. And then she puts the like tentacle over, like, okay, that's good.
She's trying to work her magic.
Yeah, she is. And Lane's dad, of course, asks where Lane is at. Where's Lane? And the mom says, oh, he just got done skiing. He was with Charles. They were skiing. Lane's in the bathroom and he had just taken a shower, probably with his socks on, and getting ready because it's his first day at his new job that the dad has gotten him because he wants his $200 back for that car that was tasty.
Tasty.
So the dad like knocks on the door and he's like, Lane, hey, ready to go? And Lane's got Q-tips in like his ears, his nose, his mouth. And he like looks at his dad and then he's like drooling from the toothpaste because he was brushing his teeth. And the dad's like, oh my God. And like just closes the doors.
Like, I'm not even dealing with this.
He's like, I'm not even going to try it. There's
Actually,
no chapter
never
in
mind.
the book. Yeah.
Yeah, there's no chapter in this book about that.
Nope, there is not. So then we cut to his job, which is at
Pig Burger. And who owns Pig Burger? Rocco, the man that he keeps just running into with the car. So of course the owner, Rocco, is just like, oh, you're Al Myers' kid? You look pretty dumb to me. Because, Lane's dad is a lawyer, and Lane's just like, okay, I don't know how I'm supposed to take this, but thanks. Like, yeah. Okay, cool, whatever. Awesome. You're my boss now, so whatever. And the owner's starting to show him around and goes to the back, teaches him how to make burgers, and it's like the most disgusting thing ever and kind of is ruining fast food for me. So he literally is like, the owner's literally like taking the meat with his bare hand and then dropping it on the grill, pushing it into the pig mold, and then putting it on the pan. And with this, there's no washing the hands, there's no gloves, no sanitation, but the main thing that he cannot forget to do on the job is wear this big old Swedish chef hat, just like in the Muppets.
Yes,
and
exactly.
and put this pig nose like over it with like little ears. And that's just the uniform. So no sanitation, but that big hat and the nose is what they need to have.
Yeah. Yeah. Lane goes to, he goes, I'll be right back. And Rocco's like, where are you going? He's like, to wash my hands. And he's like, wash your hands on your own time. Get to work.
Disgusting.
So he starts touching the meat with his hands that he hasn't washed since he was sticking things up his nose, and yeah. So that's what's happening there. And of course, Lane has to space out. And if he's not, thinking about flashbacks, he's thinking about cartoons or he's thinking about something. And they cut to like a cute little thing of him he grabs like a big lump of meat and he like puts it on this tray, and it's supposed to be like Frankenstein's monster. And he's like, it's alive. And he's like, ha 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 ha. Like lightning's, like it's lightning. And it makes a claymation hamburger guy. And you start hearing Van Halen's Everybody Wants Some in the background. And this is the motto of the pig burger. It's everybody wants some. And then we start hearing that play, and the little burger guy, grabs his guitar, and it's Eddie Van Halen's famous red guitar with the white tape and everything on it. I think it usually has white and black tape on it, but close enough. It's the Flying V guitar with the red and the tape on it. And he's playing guitar, and all of a sudden here comes a lady burger, and she's all into this. Yeah, this is great. And then it goes to like these French fries, and they're sunbathing around the fryer.
The fryer, yeah.
And they're like slowly diving into the like fryer, and it's
like
just playing. Yeah, like the like synchronized swimming gals. And then we hear Meyer.
Ugh.
And he says, what does he say? He says,
Buenos dias, oink oink.
Looking really good today.
Ugh, give me a break. Your name is literally Roy Stalin. Give me a break.
And Beth kind of shrugs down in the seat like, I'm not with this guy. I think she's starting to see that Roy is like
a jerk.
Big asshole.
Right.
You're a big asshole. Stalin fits you well. Yep. And then, so he's fired from that job. And that's that for the pig burger.
Yep. Short-lived. Love it. Now, Lane is attempting to ski the K-12 yet again because, again, his life sucks right now and he wants to get the chicks. So he needs to be able to ski the K-12. And he tries to ski it again, and then same thing happens. He fails. He's falling. He's snowballing. But now this time he's breaking one of his skis. So now he cannot use one of his skis anymore and needs to get it fixed. So then obviously he goes home after that, and the movie specifically shows the way the camera is that the Flintstones are on the TV. And as Lane is walking by the TV, again, one of the novelty items here, Barney comes up on the TV from the Flintstones, and it's just like, hey Lane, I heard Beth is single. Can I take Beth out on a date? So it's literally even inanimate objects that are doing this. Right. And of course, this is Lane's imagination going wild this time, and Lane just throws something at the TV to end it.
Yeah. Yep. So he goes upstairs, and again he's got the defeated look on his face, so he's about to do something. When he had come in, he read a paper of a man that unalived himself by setting himself on fire. So Lane's like, So he goes upstairs to his room. He strips off all his bed sheets, and he puts some his bed sheets on himself, and it's tied with the comforter, and then he has a tie around his head, and he goes into the garage to look for something flammable, and there's a big, huge mason jar, and it's marked primer. So he's like, okay, this is definitely flammable. And he goes, no, I got to get matches. So as he goes back into the house from the garage, the mom is like, Lane, we have the Smiths over for dinner. Come sit down. So she sits him next to Dad and Mrs. Smith. and he puts the primer like down by in between him and his dad. And this is when we see Jenny has made a very, very special meal for Monique.
She is the cutest mom ever. Like, she is adorable. And she, of course, Monique is a French foreign exchange student, so Jenny's just trying to make her feel right at home. And with that, she's making French fries. She puts out French dressing, and then she also has French bread. But she doesn't just say, here are French fries. She says, French bread, French fries, all of those fun things. As well as they're drinking that Perrier or sparkling water. And girl can't pronounce anything, so she just says, and to drink Peru?
Yes, it's very, very cute. Yeah, she's like, French fries? Like presenting
like
it.
For looking for approval. Like,
yeah, like right,
yes.
Monique? And she's like, none of that has anything to do with my country. Awesome.
No, but
you.
Monique is just like, she's thankful that she's just not cooped up in the house with weird-ass Ricky and his mom.
So Smith goes, Jennifer, this is fabulous liquor. Reminds me of the moonshine Ricky's dead pappy used to make. God bless him. She goes to light a cigarette because she's always smoking. And Lane's like, notices that the primer's pretty much gone. She was drinking the primer. And when she lights the cigarette, they pan outside the house that it literally blows up the dining room. Like the windows all blow up and everything like that.
Like explosion.
Yes. And it immediately cuts to the kids driving to school and in the car. So let's go over this part, Ireland.
Yeah, Ricky, Monique, and Lane are all in the car because he's gonna drive them to school. Lane tells Ricky, gee, I'm really sorry your mom blew up, Ricky. But now we're with the Racing Brothers again. So they're all in the car in the station wagon, and the Racing Brothers drive up next to them. And of course they want to race. They're putting the siren up. The driver's putting on his leather gloves again. They're getting ready. And then the brother in the back seat is announcing again. And of course, Ricky, being a dweeb that he is, he's like, you have to follow the speed limit. Like, mother always says to do this. Blah, blah, blah. Like, shut up. Literally nobody asked. And as they're going, the light turns green, and Monique, she hits pedal to the metal. She is the one that's putting Lane's foot down on the gas all the way. And they're actually, like, they're pretty close with the brothers. Like, they're kind of going in and out, being first with the brothers. Then, just because it's normal. They see, like, a bunch of nuns crossing the street. And Lane, of course, is swerving out of the way so he's not running them over. And then he ends up in a construction zone and then swerves again. And of course, wherever he swerves next, he's going straight off a ramp into water. And there's just some ducks swimming in the little pond that he gets stuck in with his car.
Yep. And he thinks Ricky's dead.
Yeah, because Ricky's just like passed out.
Yeah. And Monique has her head on the dashboard. And, so he's like, Ricky, are you dead? I think Ricky's dead. And he's like, Monique. And then she's like, she comes up and she looks like she's crying or like really, really upset. And she's actually laughing. And she thinks it's hilarious. She thought it was fun. And they're both laughing together. And then Ricky finally pops up and goes, I'm telling mom.
Of course he is.
I'm telling my mom.
What a baby.
Yeah, just suck it up. You're fine. And so, of course, Lane pulls up to school. His car is like has mud all over it from being in the mud water
pond.
And he opens the door and the two ducks come out of the door and he goes, see you later.
It's so cute. They're like, wow, wow, wow.
And as he gets out of the car, he's like all ready, like he's revved up. He's like, oh my gosh, that was so exciting. If I had my Camaro, if it was running, I would beat those guys no problem. Oh my God. And and then of course we see Roy and he oinks at him. And then that basically just causes Lane to be like...
Yeah, that kills his mood again.
Yeah.
I mean, Roy is an asshole.
He is.
Like, just leave him alone. Also, Roy looks like he's 30. So what is he doing at this high school? He probably is going to graduate with Charles DeMar.
Yeah.
But now we cut to lunch. And Lane is sitting with Monique because, of course, anything is better than sitting with Ricky at this point. So Lane is like being very sweet with Monique. Like, obviously they get along. He's sharing a ding dong with her. And Ricky is not having it. He wants his woman back. So he kind of like pushes a kid away from Monique that's sitting on the opposite side of her, and then he sits down and of course gets real close to her because he's just disgusting. And he takes the ding dong that Lane gave her and then dips in his Jello because this is the same kid that was slurping up his Jello like a freak. And that's kind of that with Ricky. And then Roy comes up behind them and is, of course, being an asshole. And he starts to speak French to Monique. I don't even know what he's saying, though.
He says, well, first he says, Buenos dias. Bonjour. Voulez-vous coucher avec moi?
Yes.
Yeah. So,
right.
Yeah. And then he tells Lane that he's looking for a new ski captain, and all the person has to do is beat Roy, and then there's a new ski captain. So he's like, tryouts won't be the same if you're not there, champ. And he had like his hand on his shoulder, so Lane like pushes it off, and then Roy has to be creepy pretends, and he's like massaging his shoulders, and he's like, oh, what are you and Meyer talking about? Is he telling you what a great lover he is? And Lane says, she only speaks French, Roy, not imbecile. And then Roy's like, ooh. And Monique, you could see underneath the table that Monique has like a can of Coke, and she's shaking it underneath the table. And she like pulls it up and goes to open it, and she like kind of puts it in Roy's face, and it gets on him. He's like, what the hell? Your stupid girlfriend, and basically insults Monique. And here comes Beth, and Beth is like, what's going on? And, that's when Roy's like, oh, Meyer and his stupid, dumb girlfriend, and insults Monique. So, of course, Lane is pissed off about this, and he's like, I can outski you anytime, even the K-12. And Roy tells him, oh, yeah, right, okay, all right. And Lane's like, any day, anytime, name a limit, and, of course, Roy goes, how about Sunday at high noon? And Lane says, you're on. Yeah, high noon. He says, you're on. And then Roy like grabs Beth's arm violently and like drags her. And I was like, I don't like that, dude.
Yeah, cool. I don't know. Like, these men do not know how to handle women. I don't understand what it is about it. Poor Monique is just getting thrown around.
Yeah, that's where the Johnny Dangerously would come in.
Once.
Roy grabbed my arm once. Yeah.
So good. That is another great movie.
We will be doing that movie for sure.
Yeah, we have to. It's just so good. And everybody that's listening right now is like, what the hell is Johnny Dangerously? They probably never heard of that movie.
If you like Michael Keaton, it's wonderful. Oh, I love
Michael. Yeah, he is really good in that movie. So Lane is in his car, and he just hears something coming out from the roof, and he's just like, what the hell is that? And it's the paper boy. It's Johnny, the paper boy, on his roof. And of course, he's like, I want my $2. So this boy best needs something important, because he is really needing this $2. And Lane is basically driving like a crazy person. Like, he's trying to get this man off of the car. And he even goes through a car wash. Like, faintly, Johnny's like, no, I can't swim. Johnny kind of gets wiped away off of the car. What a good exit.
I can't swim. Yeah. And then it's nighttime now. And Lane sees Monique. She's outside throwing lemons. I believe it's lemons at a no parking sign. And she is hitting this sign 9 out of 10 times.
She's got an arm.
Yeah. Yes, she's got an arm. And Lane comes over and he's like, is something wrong, Monique? And of course, she doesn't talk. She just keeps throwing the lemons. And he's like, okay, good night, Monique. And he just goes to leave. And she's like, she starts to speak English. And she says that Ricky thinks that she's his love goddess, his prostrate. And she goes, no, I mean prostitute. And
perfect.
Lane says, you big faker, you speak English. And Monique's like, I thought if we had nothing to say to each other, he would get bored. But he just saw it as an opportunity to put his testicles all over me. Lane goes, his what? And she goes, how do you say octopus? And he goes, oh, tentacles, NT, big difference. And she's like, all I want to do is go to Dodger Stadium and see the Brooklyn Dodgers play, which is, the Dodgers are not in Brooklyn. They're in California. And he's like, oh, okay. So Mrs. Smith comes out with Ricky. Her whole face is like, her face is taped up because she went to smoke after she drank the primer.
Yeah, she blew up.
But it has like a little piece here, and she has her red lipstick on though. And she's like, Monique. She's like, get back in here and come inside. And she says, little Ricky's been worried sick. And then she says, is that Meyer boy bothering you? And Monique, before she goes in, she talks to Lane and she goes, you won't tell? And he's like, what, that you're a Dodgers fan? And she's like, no, that I speak English. And he's like, cross my heart, hope to die. And she's like, do you? And he says, not at the moment. So then she gives him a little kiss, and she says, you're my friend. And yeah, you're my friend. And what I forgot to say was, when they were talking earlier, he was talking about, oh, if you go to Dodger Stadium, you can make some friends. And he says, friend, friend. And he does the like thing.
Like
yeah.
what Mrs. Smith does to her face.
The Christmas thing, yeah. So
yeah,
Christmas. Yeah. And then when Monique goes inside, Mrs. Smith follows like her inside, and then Ricky's in like a robe, and he's like
yeah, he's kind of
like, ooh, yeah, guess what I'm gonna do? And I'm like, ugh.
Yeah, you're actually disgusting.
Just cue the barf sound. Maybe there's a barf sound
literally.
on one of the
yeah, we need like a soundboard, like
yeah.
Bleh. Where's the dry heave sound?
Yeah, like, I will pay for that noise.
Ew,
where's that at?
He's disgusting. The next morning, Lane wakes up and hears some rattling under his car, and he sees legs under his car. He's like, what the hell? And Monique just rolls herself right from under it, and she's fixing the car. Of course, she's just a jack of all trades. She can throw a baseball, she can fix cars, and she goes, all right, go ahead and try to start it. And Lane tries to start it, and it does start. Okay, but she's not quite done fixing it. She just is trying to get it a little bit together. But she says that, again, it's not done, but we can fix it together.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And insert montage here of them fixing the car together, being silly.
Super cute.
And then after they have fixed the car, Monique asks Lane why he has a death wish. And he does the whole explanation about Beth dumping him for Roy, and and then at that time he's like, Roy, oh my God, I'm racing him at the K-12 tomorrow. Like, oh,
he's like,
shit.
Oh, I forgot.
Yeah, he's like, oh, I forgot, damn it. And Monique tells him that he just needs a small taste of success, and he will find that it suits him. So he decides to take out the Camaro.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he's rolling in style now. So again, Monique is like his hype man. Like, Lane has always been, like, throughout this whole movie, we've seen that he's just kind of been pushed down, and Monique is the first person to really, like, lift him up and really help him and be a friend. Of course, Charles DeMar, I'm not talking about this legend, but, right. Like, he's just, like, his own, he's got 2 brain cells, so, like, man's just doing what he needs to do. So, Lane is rolling in the Camaro, and he, again, gets stopped at the stoplight, and the Racing Brothers pull up right next to him. But this time, the Racing Brothers are not by themselves. They have their hot dates in the car with them. So they got some beautiful women in there. And they kind of look over and they see that they are going to start racing because they see Lane. They're putting on the gloves. And it's kind of funny, too, because the little dates in the Racing Twins car, they put, like, little helmets on. So this must be something that's just, like, a normal Tuesday for them. Right. Yes, and Lane is getting ready to race, and as soon as that light turns green, Lane's car is taken off. That Camaro actually does Camaro things and moves, and the Racing Brothers car stalls. Does not go at all. So then the 2 girls are like, ugh, you're lame, and then kind of throw their helmets at them, and then they get the heck out of that car.
Yeah, and then the one brother who was driving, jumps in the back where the other brother was, and then they're fighting in the back of the car.
Yep. It's your fault.
Yeah, it's your fault. We lost our dates. Yeah. And then later that night, Lane takes Monique to Pig Burger because he still has the keys from his one day of working there.
Yeah, his like 2 hours of working there.
Yes. He has prepared a wonderful feast of TV dinners. Looks like he has champagne, like in a bucket.
I think so.
And he has some candles. And, he tells Monique that he wants to thank her for everything and says, merci buckets. Instead of merci beaucoup.
Love it.
Merci buckets.
Love it.
And he says, I'll be right back. And he comes while she's eating her TV dinner. He comes back with a saxophone and he is playing for her. And she's like, ooh. And it's really cute. And then it pans outside of the Pig Burger, and you see the animated burger guy and the burger girl. They're like cuddling together, and they each have like a little glass of wine in their hands. It's really cute. And yeah, so that was their cute little...
Yeah, it's just a little romantic little tidbit there, and it's very cute. With that, Monique is determined to help Lane ski the K-12, and because remember, he's racing today. Right. So Monique is standing at the top of the hill with Lane, and she's just saying, all you got to do is go that way, and then if something gets in your way, then turn. So basically what Charles DeMar was telling Lane as well. And then she's just basically like, well, monkey see, monkey do. Like, watch and see. Like, it's no sweat. Everything's easy to her. And she is just looking so graceful going down this K-12. Like, she is, what can this girl not do, honestly?
I know.
And Lane is like, okay, like, she's got the confidence, so I'm gonna try. And then he attempts, and then he immediately crashes.
Yeah. And then they key the montage of them keep practicing, and Lane gets progressively better. And they're not skiing the K-12, though.
Or it's just like the route. Yeah.
Yeah.
But she's just helping him prepare, yeah.
Yeah. But they're like going in and out of each other's legs, like skiing under each other and that kind of stuff. And it's just like cute little romantic thing. And then they end up like, they kind of like, he goes under her legs and then they fall. And then they're about to kiss. And Charles DeMar comes up on his skis, and he tells Lane that everyone in the state of Northern California is waiting for Lane to tackle this untamed slope, dead or alive. So everybody's here to watch Lane probably fail, is I think what they're thinking. So Monique tells Lane to hurry up because they have unfinished business. And he's like, oh, are you going to teach me French? And she's like, no, the international language. And then says, kick his ass. She skis off. Yeah. And this is when Lane looks down and he sees that his left ski's broken. Not a good time for this because he's literally supposed to race in about 10 minutes. But something else happens.
Yeah. So we still have not taken away Johnny the Paperboy. And Johnny the Paperboy is on his bike, but his bike is also on skis. So he has just like developed his bike into a skiing bike, I guess.
Yeah.
And he yells that, again, he wants his $2. So then Lane starts to take off. Again, he has that broken ski, the one working ski. Lane takes off, and then Johnny follows him down. He's screaming, $2! I want my $2! And Roy is basically just like sitting at the top of the mountain, like, or sitting at the top of the K-12, looking at his watch, like, oh, this guy definitely chickened out. Like, we knew that he wasn't even going to show up because I'm just that good and he knows I'm that good. And it is in that instant that Lane then shows up right next to Roy. And then everybody that's waiting at the bottom of the K-12, just like Charles was saying, is just cheering for them. They're ready to see this race again, dead or alive. And Charles again is telling everybody like, oh, my friend actually showed up.
Yeah.
So then everybody's cheering.
Yeah. At the top of the mountain. So we're like, yay! And he still can't get his ski fixed. The timekeeper at the top goes, go. So Lane goes because the Paperboy is still following him. And then he goes, go to Roy, and Roy heads down. So they're both skiing back and forth, and here comes the Paperboy. And eventually Roy's like, get out of here, kid. And he like pushes them. And Johnny just goes off like a cliff, basically, and just falls. And he's like, I mean, it's a pretty big cliff. It's not like he's falling off like 10. It's like hundreds of feet.
Right.
And he lands in the snow, and you're like, oh no, Johnny's dead. Uh-oh.
Yeah. $2.
Yeah. And he gets up, and he like shakes off the snow, and he goes, $2. And then he falls back into the snow.
Yeah.
And then it cuts back to Lane and Roy racing head to head. Now Lane is still on one ski, so he's killing it with his one ski. Roy's keeping up with him and everything like that. And I'll get to this in a minute, but Lane wins the race. Everyone's cheering. And Roy's like, I don't believe Lane wins the race. And here's why I don't believe he wins the race. Because the guy says, go to Lane, and then 5 seconds later, go to Roy. So Roy was head to head with him the whole time and finished like right behind him, like a photo finish. I feel like Roy won that.
But they had agreed that like Roy could even beat him even if Lane had a head start. I think that's why it was that way.
Okay. But again, he was
still,
I
understand.
Yeah, but he was skiing on one ski, which I think that should definitely, but that's kind of like a...
Actually,
yeah. So of course, everybody's very excited. Who else is really excited that Lane has won?
Freaking Beth. Girl, your time is in the past. Sweetie, you are dating freaking Barney from the Flintstones. You're dating the teacher. You're dating Roy. Like, girl, you are old news, okay? It's all about Monique now. But Beth comes up to Lane and is like, you really are the best. And then she like hugs him. And of course, like Lane being in the moment, he's just shocked, I think, that he won in general. So like, you know, he's with her or whatever. And Monique is just like watching this happen. And it's just, of course, sad because like, they spent all this time together. And, you know, Monique is the one that's built her up from freaking Beth breaking up with him in the first place.
Yeah. One of Roy's cronies goes, nice try. And he's like,
That's right.
Yeah. He's like, get lost.
Yeah, he's like, get lost, man. Like, he's
Where's
a sore
your
loser.
oink oink now, buddy?
Right.
Jerk. Dick. Roy's such an asshole.
He is.
So of course, the brothers are there. The racing brothers are there because the one brother speaks Howard Cosell from the Wild World Sports. So he's ready to interview Lane, and he's basically like, "What gave you the strength to do this?" And he says, "Language lessons." And then he looks and he sees Monique being dragged away by Ricky and his mom, you know, and he's like, he just goes in pursuit of Monique. And while they're dragging poor Monique, Mrs. Smith calls Monique a tramp and says, I don't even know what Ricky sees in you. And I was like, ho, who you calling tramp? Like, seriously?
Right.
Like, rude. If anyone's a creeper, it's your damn son.
I was just gonna say, sweetie girl, don't you have that Oedipus relationship with your son? Be so for real. Like, we are not, no.
Yes.
It's giving Norman Bates. Like, we're not doing this.
100%. Yeah. Easy, Norman. And then Lane rushes to Monique and pulls her away and says, she's coming with me. And Ricky's like, grabs her back and says, she's coming with us. You would be wise to do as mother says, Lane Meyer. Okay. So Ricky's mom is like, Ricky, do something. And Ricky grabs a ski pole and uses it like a fencing thing. So of course Lane has one of his ski poles and they're like fencing with the ski poles. And Ricky's mom is cheering him on, like, get him, Ricky, get him, yeah. And her and Monique are like to the side, you know, and she's cheering on Lane and Ricky's mom's cheering on Ricky. And he like does that stupid move, like the sword move where he goes like this and he knocks the pole out of Lane's hand. So he's like, oh. And then Ricky just charges at Lane and Lane moves out of the way and he charges into his mom and like lands on top of his mom. And Lane grabs Monique, puts her over his shoulder, and then he like runs with her to the Camaro and puts her in the Camaro and they speed off.
They drive off into the sunset.
But his wheels squeal. They are on 100% snow. And
they're burning rubber. Okay.
There was no rubber to be burnt. Like,
do you know the street value of that mountain? Come on.
Right. Exactly. I'm like, where are you squealing these wheels at? But okay. Anyways, small things. And Ricky gets up and Ricky is finally, I think, realizing, okay, this is not happening with me and Monique. He feels defeated and then he sees something.
Yeah. So he's looking defeated, but then he sees like a little green glove out the corner of his eye. And it's just like the nerdiest girl that you did ever see. It's basically one of those things where it's like she's got like the two like pigtail kind of braid things going on. She's got the thick glasses. She's got, you know, the tape in the middle of the glasses. It's the whole works. And basically he's just like, I'll just take what I can get. Literally anything that walks, right? So they end up like walking off together. They're arm in arm. And Ricky's mom is basically like, Ricky, where are you going? Because, you know, everything is always just Ricky's mom, and Ricky's just ignoring her and just walks off into the sunset with his new girlfriend.
Yep. And then we cut to Lane, who is driving his Camaro on a regular road this time, so he can burn rubber. Right. I'll allow it. And he drives his Camaro to Dodger Stadium. And his car's parked on the home plate, and they're sitting on top of his car, and they're kissing. Mm-hmm. And the camera pans out, and who made it to Dodger Stadium?
Oh, don't worry. Johnny is still waiting for his $2. So Johnny the Paperboy, we see like in the distance, like he's riding his bike then towards Monique and Lane in Dodger Stadium. Because why not?
Yep. So he's still in pursuit of his $2 plus tip cash.
Yep.
And then the credits start rolling, and then they cut really quick to the house. The dad has, again, just finished fixing the garage door with the new windows, and something in the garage starts lighting up, and we hear a rumble. Badger has built his rocket ship, and that rocket ship takes off and goes through the roof of the house and goes up into space.
Yep, just because why not?
because Badger
Sure.
is a genius and he built a rocket ship out of household items, just like
Yeah.
the book said.
Literally knows rocket science.
I know.
No, but I want to know how much money that this family spends on Windows a year. That's what I want to know. That's my big question at the end of this
Yeah, I
movie.
think he's like the
How much
window
have you
people's
spent on
favorite.
Windows?
Yep. He's like, oh, you're our favorite customer, Al Meyer. Thank you.
Right. Hope you work on commission.
Right. Let's see. Okay, so went through that. So budget time.
Yeah.
1985. So the movie had a budget of $3.5 million. Opening weekend in the US and Canada, it made $56,371. And I'm just going to say gross worldwide because it's the exact same whether it was US and Canada or worldwide. So it made total $10,297,601. So it did make some money.
Very good.
It, of course, is cult classic status, because people are starting to watch more and more 80s and 90s movies. And yeah, so I got some fun facts for this movie. This movie was filmed in Utah at a couple Utah ski resorts. The ski resorts were Alta, Brighton, and Snowbird. So I'm not a skier. I've never skied. I don't ever care to ski. I hate cold. I hate snow. So I don't know what any of these are. So if you are
What a
here,
ball of sunshine.
I know.
I hate everything.
I am a high maintenance gal. Just ask my husband. Oh my gosh.
Good.
My poor husband. Your poor father.
He's fine.
So interesting. John Cusack's ski double, ski double, is also the film's producer. And the producer's name is Frank Better. And yeah, so all that like one-legged skiing, that was the producer.
That's
pretty
really
impressive.
cool.
The French bread scene was a tribute to Savage Steve's girlfriend at the time, who was a French exchange student. The director based the movie on his own teenage heartbreak, including being dumped by his girlfriend and getting into a skiing
Rivalry.
skiing fight with another boy, and of course she left him for the ski captain, and
Of course.
he did attempt suicide when they showed Lane with the electric cord around him. Steve said that he had it around him and he was on a garbage can, but it was like a soft garbage can, and it was tied to a pipe in the garage, and the garbage can caved in and the pipe broke. So that's when he kind of realized, like, okay, yeah, this is a bad idea. I shouldn't be doing this. And then the Paperboy, I want my $2, which he turned into the Paperboy, was inspired by a real life incident where someone threw food at him and demanded their money back, which was $2.
Okay.
So I think he worked at
Full
McDonald's.
circle.
He worked at McDonald's. That's where he worked. Yeah. And like Lane's mom, Holland's mom was an experimental cook and once gifted him TV dinners based off of things that he liked. Just like the mom does. Yeah. He says it wasn't for Christmas, it was for his birthday. So that's the only difference. He's like, this is really my life.
Love
I'm
it.
getting TV
I love
dinner.
that, honestly.
She also did love to cook. She liked McCall's magazine, and she would forget an ingredient and she would blame it on, like, it would taste, of course, it would taste terrible. And she would blame it on something like, oh, your palate's bad, or you didn't taste it right, or you're not.
You love raisins.
Yeah, you love raisins. So yeah, Diane Franklin, who played Monique, she talked Dodger Stadium into letting her sing the national anthem. And when they introduced her, they just said, Diane Franklin. And she's like, who the F knows who Diane Franklin is? She's like, they didn't even say, like, oh, from Better Off Dead, or she was also in Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. She was one of the princesses. They didn't even say that, because that was definitely a huge movie. Mm-hmm. And she's like, nobody knows who the hell I am. So she's like, I just sang it. And I was like, great. That was productive.
They're like, great, you just found this lady on the side of the street. Like, yeah, awesome.
Thanks for Diane Franklin. Awesome.
Right.
So hopefully I pronounced his name right. Yuji Akamoto, who was the brother that did the Howard Cosell voice. He was in Karate Kid 2. He was the bad guy. He was Chosen. That was the name, Chosen, in Karate Kid 2. And he's also was in the series as Chosen. So I love that. And
wait, the one from Cobra Kai?
Yeah.
Wait, I didn't know that was him.
Yeah,
That's
the one
crazy.
that was like, remember when he first meets him, he's like, you're my rival. But the girl's like, just give him a chance. It's been like 30 years or whatever. Yeah, that's the same actor because that he played, and he played
That's
the bad
crazy.
guy in the second
Yeah,
one.
that's
He
wild.
worked really, really hard to perfect the Howard Cosell voice, and he gave it like a Japanese accent to it because they're supposed to be Japanese. And he worked so hard on it, and he watched tons of Wide World of Sports, but they ended up dubbing his commentary with just a regular actor that does
Dang.
voiceovers. Yeah, so he's kind of bummed about that. But he's like, hey, it's not my film. I don't make the decisions. Amanda Weiss, who was Beth, she was also in Nightmare on Elm Street, the very original one, and she's the first person to die. She's the blonde girl that dies in the classroom, and like her body's like dragged everywhere. And
You just spoiled it for everybody.
yeah, oh, I'm sorry, guys.
It's
Spoiler
been out
alert.
for how long?
40 years it's been out. Sorry, I just ruined it for you if you haven't seen it in 40 years.
And they're unsubscribing as we speak.
Chuck Mitchell, who played Rocco from Pig Burger, also played Porky in the movie Porky's. So if you've seen Porky's, that's where he's from. And then because Ireland and I like to watch the entire credits to see if anything else goes on, at the very end it says, the film's over, you can go now. That's what it says, yeah. So that is all the super fun facts about Better Off Dead from 1985. We are going to be doing, well, we're a little late on this one, and I'll tell you why we're going to be late on this one. It didn't come out on Tuesday. It's going to come out hopefully sometime this week. We taped. I was not prepared as I should have been, and it sucked. I sucked at it.
We're doing it again.
So I made poor Ireland do it again because it just was not the quality. It was all over the place. So it just was not the quality that you guys deserve. But next week we will be on time for Tuesday. And we are doing what, Ireland?
Toy Soldiers.
From 1991. That has Sean Astin in it, as well as Will Wheaton. And I know y'all know who Will Wheaton is. Whether you are old or young, you know who that person is. Yes, you know.
If you don't, look him up and you know.
You should know who Sean Astin is too.
King.
Yeah, but on behalf of myself, Katie, the Gen X mom,
and Ireland, the Gen Z daughter,
we want to thank you for joining us for another episode of Butterscotch Rewatch, and we'll see you guys next time.
Bye.